Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Usman and today I will show you how to create this ReactJS car registration app using Material UI, React hooks and local storage. So what we're going to build is the following. I can input a car brand here. I can say Mercedes and I can say CLK for the model and let's say 2010 for the year. I can input horsepower here and I can add the car. I can register the car and we see that the car gets added down in the table. I can add another car. I can say BMW and model 320, 199 for the year and 136 for the horsepower. If we click the button, it gets added below the Mercedes. If I click on a particular row, they get deleted. If I refresh, they are gone because we are removing them from local storage. So this is what we're going to build, guys. If you are new to the channel, my name is Usman, I'm a web developer and I make tutorials about web development. So if this is something that really interests you, consider subscribing to my channel and also make sure you hit that notification icon so that you don't miss any of my videos. So without further ado, let's open Visual Studio Code right now and start creating this application from scratch. So I have created a new folder and I have opened this folder with Visual Studio Code. And now what I will do, I will type npx create dash React-app and for the name I will call this car registration app. And before you follow me, please make sure you have Node.js installed, otherwise you won't be able to achieve anything. And as I have Node.js installed on my machine, I can click enter and that will start installing my React.js application structure, the folders, etc., everything I need in order to start developing an application. And that will take a little bit of time, so I'll come back to you when this is created. Okay, so the installation has finished and I can see the project configuration on the left side. And here what we need to do now is we need to type cd into car registration dash app and then we need to hit npm start, which is a command that will start our development server. So I will do this and that will open a development server on localhost 3000 and I will get back to you when my server is started. So my development server has started and what we see is this logo spinning by default coming from React. So let's go back to our Visual Studio Code and have a look at our project folder structure. And here inside this source folder we have a couple of files which we will have a look at the moment. And I also placed an image called car.png which will be in the description below the video so that you can download it and use it as well. And now what I will do is I will start cleaning this a little bit. So I will delete this file, I will delete also this file. I will delete the logo.svg file and app.css file. We won't be using any CSS, normal CSS in this project. We'll be using Material UI styles provided by Material UI and I will show you how to use CSS over there. So also we can delete this file here and we can delete inside the index.js, we can delete this and we can also delete the React strict mode. So I will delete this and get rid also of this. Okay, now I will save and inside the app we will have a error because we don't have any logo anymore. So I will delete also this and this. And inside the div with the class name of app, I will get rid of everything here and I will place an h1 which will say hello from React with an exclamation. Let's save and I will open my browser and refresh here and we'll see hello from React. I have a typo here, sorry. So now what we need to do, we will need Material UI. So I will head to materialui.com And here I can click on Get Started, and we will find instructions of how to install Material UI. You can do this by using yarn or npm. I'm using npm, so what I will do, I will copy this line of code here, and I'll head back to Visual Studio Code, open one more terminal, and paste it right here, and that will start installing Material UI as a dependency. So after this is finished, we'll be able to use Material UI. Meanwhile, let's convert this into an arrow function. So I'll say const app equals an arrow function, and I will save this. And I'm still waiting for Material UI to install. So what we can do next, it just finished installing, so I can close this terminal. And here, what I will do now, I will import the image. So here above, I will say import car from ./car. That's the current directory. And I will place the image right here. So I'll say image source will be car. I'll give it a style, inline style. So I'll say width of 300 pixels. And for the alt, I will say just a hash. And that will be a self-closing tag. I will save now and go back to our application, and we can see the car right here. Great, so let's go back, and here instead of rendering hello from React, I want to render, ReactJS car registration app. Okay, let's save now and see how this looks. It looks like this. Great. So now we will start creating our structure. So what we will have a couple of text fields and a button. So in order to import those, I will search for text field inside Material UI, and we can see how we can import text field. So I will copy this line of code here and go back to the app.js file and paste it right here. We will also need a button, but we will see that in a moment. So what kind of text field we will need? So inside demos, we can choose a text field. So what I will be using in this project, I will be using this one right here. And to copy this one, I just need to expand this and copy this one here and go back to the app.js file and paste it below the h1 and hit print here. Okay, so also what we will have label which will not be saying outlined, but for the first one it will say brand, and I will copy this a couple of times. So we'll have brand, model, year, and horsepower. So here for the label I can say model, year, and horsepower. I can save now to see how this looks and go back to the browser and refresh. and we should be able to see our text fields. It's still compiling, so let's wait. And now we see the text fields right here. Great. And also we need a button, so let's go back to Material UI and search for button. And I will go back to, actually it's right here, the button which we'll be using. It's called secondary, and we will copy this line of code here and go back to app.js file and paste this below the text fields. Let's save now, but we don't have button imported, so we have to import it first. And we can do this by importing button from right here. So I will copy this, go back to app.js and paste it right here, and we see that the error got disappeared. So now I can save and go back to the app inside the browser, and we can see the button right here. Okay, what else we need? We need a table, but before we put the table, let's make sure we have everything styled correctly. So to do that, I will be using the styles provided by Material UI, and we can see it right here. So what I can do, I can copy this here and go back to Visual Studio Code, and inside the app, I can paste it. And we will delete this. And also we need to import make styles. So I'll copy this, go back to app.js, paste it right here. And finally, in order to work, we need to also copy this line of code here, which we'll be using to assign classes. So I can copy and paste it right here, hit print here, and so far we are good. What we can do now, we can right here inside this useStyles function, we can start defining our class names. So we will have a class which will be called text field, and that will be an object with classes. Okay, we will also have a class called app, which will be an object with classes as well. So here for the app, I will say display to be equal to flex, align items will be center, justify content will be center, and flex direction will be column. And now, in order to assign this class, what we need to do, we can get rid of this class name equals app, and instead we can say class name equals classes dot app. And now if I save this and go back to the browser, we'll see that they moved to the center as we wanted. Okay, that's great. Now what else we need to do? We can go back to the app.js file, and here for the text field, we can provide some properties. So we will have a margin of 10 pixels top and bottom and 0 pixels left and right. What else we will have? We will have a width of 30%, and we will also give them a height of 50 pixels. And in order to assign this, we'll go back to the text fields, and here we can say class name equals classes.text field. And in order to do it faster, I will copy this here and paste it for every text field. So basically like this. And I will hit prettier, and that will prettify everything for me. And I can save now and go back, and we see that they have a margin between them. Nice. So what else we will have? We'll also style the buttons. So here inside we can say button, and that will have a margin of 10 pixels 0. So basically 10 pixels top and bottom and 0 pixels left and right. The same as the text fields. So here for the button, I will say class name equals classes.button. Now save now and see how this looks. The button moved a little bit down from the last text field, so that's great. Okay, so what else we need? We need to style this heading here. So let's go back to the app.js, and for the heading, I can say heading, and the heading will have a text shadow, and that text shadow will be 1 pixel, 1 pixel, and that will be a red color, so it will be FF and 4 times 0. That will make it red. So if I save now and assign this to the heading, so here we can say class name to be equal to classes dot heading. Okay, and we can save, and we can see now that the heading has a nice text shadow, and so far we are having a nice progress. What else we need now? We need to start creating some logic and output everything in a table. So to do that, I will go back to the app.js file, and I will make this a little bit smaller because I want more space for my code. And here inside the app, I can create a couple of constants which we'll be using. So I'll say const cars, set cars, and that will be equal to useState. And initially that will be an empty array, but before that we can import useState from React. So up here I can say import useState. Also we'll be using useEffect as a hook. So I'll import useEffect from React, and down below we can also do const brand, which will store whatever we are typing inside the brand input field. And we can say set brand, which will be the function which will be calling on the change event inside the text field. We can say useState, and that will be equal to an empty string initially. So I will copy this a couple of times, and here I can say model, and that will be set model, and that one will be set year. I'll say year, And we have one more, which will be horsepower, and that will be set horsepower. Okay, let's save now and go back to the browser. We have a bug. Now we don't have a bug. Okay, that happens a lot of times. We can go back to the app.js file, and what we need to do now, we need to assign some event listeners to the text fields. So to do that, for each text field, we can say onChange. So onChange, that will be equal to, we will call a function which will fire set brand here, and we will populate the brand variable. We will assign to the brand variable the e.target.value, basically whatever we are typing inside the text field. And we can place the event here, and we will copy this one here and assign it to every text field, and we will change it in a bit. So here we can say, okay, so from the top we are saying set brand to the brand text field. So here it will be set model to the model text field, set ear to the ear text field, and set horsepower to the horsepower text field. And also what we need to do, we also need to provide them a value. So the value for the first one will be the brand. I'll copy it, and here below I'll say value. That will be the model for the value. And for the ear, that will be the ear. Okay. And for the, I have a problem with my mouse. Here for the horsepower, it will be the horsepower. Okay, nice. So we have set up this. And now what we need to do is whenever we click the button, we need to do something. So what I will do now, I will assign an event listener to the button. So here I will say on click, and that will be equal to a function which we will call this how we can call this, we can call this add car handler. Okay, and right now it's arguing because we don't have this function created yet, but we can create it right here. So we can go to the top and we can start creating this handler right here. So we can say const add car handler, and that will be equal to an arrow function. And to test this, we can say alert button was clicked. So let's save and let's see what will happen. Let's open and let's click, and we see button was clicked. So that means that our button is working. I can go back, and here in order to add the car into the DOM, we will need a table. And to grab the table, I will go back to Material UI and I will type table here. And we will see a couple of tables right here in the demos, but we will be using the simplest one right here, which is the first one. So I can expand this and I can copy those here. So table role, table head, table container up to the table. And I can import them inside my app.js file. So I will import them and I'll go back to Material UI website, and here I can copy this line of code right here up to here. And for the moment, I will paste it below the button. It won't do anything because we have rows.map, and this variable rows does not exist in our code. So what I can do, I can delete everything inside the table body, and we will come back to this later. For the moment, I can save. We have table container, which is not here. Okay, I can save right now. It's compiling still. Let's see what happens right now. Okay, we have the table right now here. But we will start styling this table in a moment. So for the table, we will first of all make it less width. So let's go back to the app.js right here in the use styles function. And I can say here table, and the table will have a width of 600 pixels. So I will make like this, and then I'll go back, and for this table, oh, we already have this imported as it should be. So let's save, and we see the table, which is looking better. Let's make sure we change the names of the columns. So for this one, I can do what I can do here. First of all, we will have everything aligned to the center. So I'll say center, oops. So I'll say center for the down, center again, and center again. And here we can delete this, and we can say brand. We have also a model, so I'll say model. We also have a ear. All right, and we also have horsepower. Brand, model, ear, and horsepower. And I can delete this line of code right here because we don't need it. So I can save right now, and let's see what we have. So we have this. Great. So now let's make something happen in order to output whatever we're typing inside these fields. So to do that, we can go right here inside our add car handler. And to start with, what we can do, we can say, first of all, we can say const old cars, and that will be equal to the cars we already have. So that will be an array, and I will destructure the cars we already have. So I'll say cars here. And then we can say const new car, and that will be an object of the following properties. So it will be brand, model, ear, horsepower, and also I want to assign an ID. So I'll say ID, which will be equal to mat.floor. And here I'll have mat.random multiplied by 1000, which will give me a number between 0 and 1000. And after I have done this, what I will do, I will say const new cars, which will be equal to old cars dot concat, and we will concat the new car. And I will hit save for the moment. And now what we can do, we can say set cars, the function which we are calling, and we will set new cars right here. Okay, I will go back down now, and inside the table body, we can say cars dot map. We will have an individual car, and we will output a table row, which will have a key, and that key will be a unique key, so we'll also have an ID here. So I'll say ID, and also after we have done this, inside this table row, we will have a table cell. So we'll have a table cell which will have our car dot brand here, and I will copy this a couple of times, and this cell will contain the model, the year, and the horsepower. Now if I save everything, we should be able to see our car when we put it. So I can say Mercedes, and I can say CLK 2010 for the year, and horsepower 136, for example. I can click the button and we see Mercedes CLK 2010 136, but they're aligned to the left, so let's make sure they're aligned to the center. So what we can say align center, and I can copy this right here and paste it for every cell below. So I can do this, and now if I save and go back to the app.js inside the browser, we can input something here. Let's say 123 123 123 just for the demo, and we see that they are aligned perfectly. But one thing that I don't like is this brand here, which is not aligned to the center. So I'll say align to the center and save, and now it should be aligned to the center. It is. So after we have done this, what we have to do now, we can input the car, but we don't have a validation. Basically, we can add a car, as you can see. Even though we don't type anything, we still add a car. So to fix this, we can have a check. So inside our add car handler, we can make a check. So here basically I can do, so we can check for if the brand is equal to an empty string, or the model is equal to an empty string, or year is equal to an empty string, and horsepower is equal to an empty string, then what we want to say alert fields cannot be blank, else we can say this line of code to be moved right here, and for the moment let's see what happens. If I save and go back and click this, we see fields cannot be blank. We hit OK, we can type 123 123 123 123 at, and we see 123 123 right here, but something happens which we don't want to happen. Let's see once again. Okay, it's okay right now, but the fields are not cleaning, so let's make sure we clean the input fields after we input the car. So to do that, we can say set brand to be an empty string, set model to be an empty string, set year empty string, and set horsepower to be an empty string. Okay, let's save now and let's see what happens. So I can input again gibberish stuff and click secondary. Let's change this to register a car. So the button text, where is it? So here I can say register car, and let's save and let's see. So I can input something, hit the button, we see the car added down. I can input something else and we see the car added down perfectly. So now we can implement the code to delete those cars. So to do that, what we can do, we can create another handler. We can go back here, and here we can say const delete car handler, which will be an arrow function, and that will receive an ID. And what we can do here now, we can go back to our table right here, and on the table row we can say onClick. So onClick will be equal to an arrow function, which will be pointing towards our delete car handler, and we will provide the ID here for this particular row. After we have received the ID at the top here, what we can do, we can say const old cars. Again, we will distribute the cars we will have already. So I'll say data.cars inside this array. Then we will say const new cars, which will be equal to old cars dot filter. And here I can say item, or I can say car to be precise. And we will filter out the car with the ID, which is not equal to the ID which we receive above in the function. And then after we have done this, we can say set cars to be equal to new cars. Let's save and go back to our browser and let's test this. So let's say Mercedes here. Okay, CLK for the model, 1000, 2010, and 136 for the horsepower. Let's click the button and we see the car added down. Let's say BMW 320 199 115. Register the car and we see it gets added down. I can click and it's not getting deleted. Okay, let's try again. Let's register the car. Let's click. It's not working. And why it's not working? Because we are not setting something correctly. And the problem is coming from here below, where we have this ID, which should be index. First of all, that was my mistake. I apologize for this. And the key is index. And here we are passing car.id. And after we save right now, we should be able to see that we can delete. So I can say 123, 123, 123 for just for the demo and click and it's get deleted. That's perfect. But one thing I don't like right now is that we don't have any error validation for those fields. So to make this work, what we can do, we can get this working by defining here an error prop, which will be equal to something. And let's create this right now. So here I'll say const is valid, set is valid, and by default that will be false. So I'll say use state and that will be false. Great. And here inside this text field, we can define, we can say error to be equal to is valid. And in order for this to work, we will have to go to our add car handler, and inside this if statement, we have to make something. And what we will do, we'll say below the alert, we'll set is valid to be true. And inside the else block, we'll say set is valid to be false again. And now if I save and click the button, we see the alert, and after that we see that this field is red. So the validation is working, but the other ones are not red. So let's assign this error prop to them as well. So I'll copy quickly this, and here I will assign the prop, and let's save now and click the button. We see the alert and we see that they're red. After that we can type something and click the button and they are not red, and we see this right here. So okay, so I can register the car, it gets added down. I can register another car, it gets added down, delete, delete, working properly. Okay, perfect. What else is left? We have to use local storage to persist those cars into the local storage. So to do that, it's very, very simple. Right here, inside the @event handler, what we need to do inside this if block, we can say, actually it will be right here, so we can say localStorage dot set item, and localStorage accepts two things, a string and the actual item. So for the key, which will be called cars, and then we need to say JSON dot stringify, and we can stringify new cars. Okay, and after we do this right here, I can save now, go back, input something, so I can say Mercedes C 200 199 horsepower 136, register the car gets added. If I refresh, it's gone because on refresh we are not pulling it from local storage. So to do this, we can use effect, and I will use this right here. So I'll say below the delete handler, I'll say use effect, and use effect has an array of dependencies which we will populate in a moment. So inside the use effect, what we will do, we will say const local storage cars, which will be equal to JSON dot parse. So we are parsing the cars we already have in the local storage, and they are basically objects. They are JSON files, so they are strings. So we are parsing them back into a JavaScript object, and here we can say local storage dot get item, and we'll get the cars. Okay, and after we get them, we just need to say set cars to be equal to local storage cars. And for the dependency, I have to provide this set cars function. And after I do this, I can save, go back to the browser, refresh, and the car is right here because we persisted that to local storage. But when I delete it, it will stay. So we need to assign the same functionality for a delete handler. So inside the delete handler right here, what we can do, below set cars, we can say local storage set item, we can say cars, and we can say JSON dot stringify new cars. Okay, after we do this, we should be able to see everything working properly. So let's go back to our browser, refresh, we have the Mercedes, delete it, refresh, we don't have any car. So let's input once again. We can say Ferrari F50 2020 500 horsepower, register the car gets added. We can say Audi A4 2005 2244 horsepower, register, the car is here. we can refresh. The cars are still here, and if we delete, we see only the one car. Delete once again, we don't see any car. Click the button, we see the validation. So you have a very nice application running, and you can customize this application as per your needs. So this is what we have done today. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did enjoy the video, please make sure you subscribe to my channel for more videos like this. Thank you so much for watching, and I see you in the next video.